Hello, fellow humans. I do not know if anybody is there yet. I am really hoping that you can all hear me well and see me okay. I hope that what you're getting is better than what I'm getting on the display of my computer right now. This is a little experiment. I've been doing a lot of, I guess, experimental art. If you've never met me before, my name is Dorothy. I call myself a multidisciplinary cathartist. That means I do a lot of stuff and I'm emotionally driven, basically. I sing from my soul. Singing is how my soul breathes. Writing was how my soul spoke for a long time, and I'm trying desperately to get back to that, but it seems that over the years it stopped coming out of my hands because they were on computers, and it just doesn't work so well for me, and it started coming out of my mouth. So my tongue wags tons, and I'm experimenting in live streaming. I am currently struggling economically like most of the world is, and using cell phone data to do this at the moment, which is an interesting experiment in and of itself. I seem to be getting an okay feed again. I hope the resolution that people are getting is better than what's on my computer. My camera looks great. Anyway, so I'm here. I've been making a lot of videos lately and putting some thoughts out to the world. I wake up in the morning with this head full of stuff, and that's really relevant to the world at large and the state we're in. I don't know how else to say it except that I don't really want to necessarily take responsibility for it because they're not my ideas, they're observations, and they're, well, I've been led to believe my whole life that I'm crazy, but I'm not. I get transmissions, I don't know. The trees talk to me, I talk to God. If anybody wants to know what God is, just think of good, orderly direction. What is the harmonious path with this life that we're on? And I know that institutions turn ideas into weaponry against humanity. They really do. They really, really, really do. And we as the human beings, we as democratic citizens, we as part of the species Homo sapien that inhabits this planet with a whole lot of other life, have to start taking personal responsibility for some of the greater good that, I know a lot of people in my generation. This is why I have no friends, right? People in my generation, ignore because it's not in their immediate sphere of things. But we've been doing that for 30 years at least on a lot of things. And one of my big things is the extreme level of prejudice against pedestrian travel there is in car culture. It's horrible. It's horrific. I'm not going to go off on a tangent. These are the things that I do. These are the things that I feel and I try to express in my art. I have a show coming up I'm playing with this keyboard because I'm going to experiment with if anybody actually shows up and wants to chat. I have the chat going. I'm going to learn how to say less. I have some friends here with me. I'm abandoning myself to my craziness rather than judging myself for it all of the time now. The world this year lost a couple of souls who knew what it meant to let go and be part of creation and let creation lead you. And I have this thing with finger puppets. So you might see me embrace that. I went to a memorial for a lovely comedian on the weekend who, yeah, completely embraced his insanity. And that was, it made it very hard it makes it very hard to, keep stable gigs and not alienate yourself from people. This is something that I've been trying to find a way to express my whole life to the world, to people who truly do want to understand emotional people, creative people. Being creative, being able to be funny is a very vulnerable thing. For me, I'm actually the funniest when I'm under an extreme amount of stress. The more stress I'm under, the funnier I get, because it's a coping mechanism. I believe that humor and comedy is a psychological tool we develop to deal with awkward and even offensive, horrific things sometimes. It is amazing how much we knew about what it meant to be human before we started dissecting it intellectually. I fear that there's been, just like Darwin's scientific theories were appropriated and misapplied in the notion of social Darwinism. Because social Darwinism is like absolutely contrary to the notion of building a sound society. I don't understand how people have gone for so long believing that profit and competition are ways to build healthy societies. We should be building society off of contribution, sustainability, and cooperation. It's not the system that's the problem. It's our worldview. It's where we look at the world from. It's the fact that, yeah, for 30 years, I'm a Canadian. Canadians, and I know it was the same, North Americans, voters, like voter turnout for eons. I should look up the numbers. Hovered around 50%. And now, like, honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do next week. I'm not going to discuss it either because that's my shit. So, still, nobody here. I'm coming up on 8 minutes of being live on cell phone data in this little experiment. I'm going to pick up my guitar and sing a song. I'm going to do a cover that, man, this was my shower song. I had 2 covers through my life that were like my shower song, the song I sing and warm up in the shower with. For a very long time, it was "'Cause Cheap Is How I Feel" by the Cowboy Junkies. And I swore to myself that if I ever got to sing on a stage, I would do that, like in a bar. And, I finally did my first open mic at the James Joyce pub, which I don't believe exists anymore, which is kind of sad. They had a house band. I did 1 cover and 2 originals, and they followed me through my originals. Like, it was super awesome for me. And I got an encore. It was great. Anyway, so having fulfilled that, I guess, bucket list item, back then, bucket list wasn't a thing, or maybe it was, but I didn't have a clue. I found Sheryl Crow, and there's this tune called "We Do What We Can" that I just adore. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to pull this off like I did, half an hour ago. I'm kind of wishing I had gotten a fisherman's thread in my throat first. Anyway, for a long time, it was a shower song because it's a keyboard song I haven't played in 30 years. I tried with my little Casio, and no, just fingers. Anyway, we don't need those stories right now. I'm telling a story about finally finding a keyboard player who was going to learn how to play it. I don't know if I ever did. No, I don't think it ever happened. But damn, I was so close. And I finally, last summer when I was busking and finally just relaxing and stopping worrying about screwing up and just being that free spirit of creation that I was before I let the system, I put all of my faith in the system. I took it away from good orderly direction. No, I'm not saying this, but I can. And that's something that I couldn't do when I was trying to keep it all in. And I guess this is what I was saying about creative people and artists and why we're difficult. It's because it's very vulnerable. You've got to be able to get down into that vulnerable space, into that emotional space, into that place that we're trying so desperately to show you is in all of us. And actually you can get there too, but it's big. And it's scary as shit. So I know that I can be big, but if I wasn't big, I wouldn't be able to entertain you. On that note, last summer, I just decided to go the way that I used to. Stop trying to learn it and just do it by feel. You're gonna have to pause for just a second because the throat wants. The throat wants what it wants. Pardon that. Downstairs the playing canter, high set swing. I lay in my bed, listen to everything. 'Cause Leo's in rare form tonight. His trombone sings so sweet. This is the room where they all come to meet. I do all I can, live for the moment. That's who I am. That's who I am. And isn't it good if we could freeze moments in time where I would do what you can. We do what we can. Downstairs the playing canter, the magnified side. And oh, how the music has changed in all of our lives. He said, nobody listens to modern jazz. And I never had what those guys had. choices we make to survive. We do what you can. Since the end of the modern world, what could it mean for a young girl who sees the pain on his face? He does what he can. The procession on the TV screen, what could it possibly mean for a man who's come this far just to turn around? To still be laughing, can swing. Kennedy's gone, everything. Sad rows of blouses and the optimistic colors. Democratic grandparents, drop dodge brothers, riots in the streets. Discontented mothers. You do what you can. We do what we can. Downstairs it's quiet, less alive somehow. Somehow he was everything I am now. Do what I can, but for a living, that's who I am. Yes, that's who I am. It's good to be alive, but everything's different since y'all died. Do what you can. And you see why I can do that is there are a number of people, one in particular who left the world this year, that now are represented in that song for me. One in particular, who I let go pieces of. Well, anyway. And that is what I mean about us creative sorts, right? We're vulnerable folk and we are sensitive. And for 30 years, I have spent my life in a world that's increasingly said, who fucking cares? So what's going on in the world right now is kind of a backlash from that. Just gotta say. It's also, as I was saying about Darwin and social Darwinism, the misapplication of Jungian psychology to identity everything is something that we have to address as a society. I am very concerned about young minds and their development and their being allowed to become what they are rather than having us fill their head full of notions before they have a clue. We need the notions to come from them, not from us. There is a wonderful spiritual connection that exists in every human being. And that's what I want to bring us all to. And yeah, it's a scary, powerful place. Our emotions, having faith in things that aren't tangible. I gotta tell you, my father was a science teacher and he was also a Catholic. I think science is a great tool that we have, but it's not the be all and end all of everything. Quite a lot of the science that we rely on, they really don't understand. It's one thing to know that 1 + 1 = 2, right? It's another thing to see this, right? Or to see this and then realize that this is actually one thing, part of one thing. Like 1 + 1 = 2, but it's all one thing. Or 1 + 1 = 1, 2. So yes, I've been, I guess, working towards podcasting, having conversations with real individuals who we have to understand that our governing bodies and the people who run things aren't going to stop. And the thing is there's a lot of stuff we've just got to stop doing. You know, it's like you sit there and you have a blemish and you want that blemish to go away. And so you pick at it and pick at it and you just make it worse and worse and worse. And your doctor even tells you to stop. And everybody tells you to stop, but there's something in it. There's payoff. There's payoff. We've got to look at what we're trading off. A lot of business concepts somehow creeped into our personal lives. I have a lot of theories. I am doing this on cell phone data, and this is an experiment, so I'm not going to go off on too many tears. But this is a little taste of what I offer the world, and I'm going to keep offering the world. I've got to use the tools that I have and figure it out. Doing what I was doing for roughly 15 years of my adult life. Actually, doing what I was doing for the majority of my adult life to this point was completely contrary to my purpose. I believe we all have purpose. I'm part of a wonderful fabric. And again, I really do hope that, this is picking me up okay, and I'm not too, I should be watching the sound level down here. I don't seem to be getting very high. I could be louder. So again, it doesn't look like anybody's joined me, and I've gone over, but I want to sing another song. I'm trying to think of what would be good. I really should do something original, but I can't think of what that would be right now. So I guess here. Here's one for you. Take another sip. I'm going to end off there. I have this song. It's still sort of a work in progress. It's got a bridge that I haven't decided it is going to be instrumental. Probably should have a pick and a tuner. But this is completely not standing on ceremony. There is a pick around. I know that. It's hiding under my computer. I cannot get it. Yeah, close enough for the guys I date. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. So, song's called Good Intentions. Seeking out the connection, overloading the fuse. trying to be as one, breaking both of us in two. Wanting to make you happy, up for brand new or chair, trying to make you smile becomes the source of your chagrin. Ah, ah, looking for absolution, finding reasons to repent. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. I see you there. Now, with that, it's been almost a half an hour. I wonder how much of that's my cell phone data that ate. I wonder how much of the birds outside my window you can hear, or the fans, or whatever. It's been a very fun experiment. Nobody stopped by, but this will be saved for later. And I sincerely hope, yes, I should be looking at the camera, not the computer. Thank you for taking a peek and let me know what you think. I'm completely not standing on ceremony. Obviously, I did not get dressed up for this or tidied very much, even here in my studio space. But the studio space I'm hoping to be using more and more for this kind of thing. If you like it, hit like, hit subscribe. I am trying to get at least 50 subscribers so that I can mobile live stream, because I do like doing spontaneous things. Like, I sing while I walk along the sidewalk. I have mobility issues. I have issues in my neck and my shoulder. Singing is actually pain relief. When I'm singing, I don't feel it as much anyway. And then I stop, and like right now, having had that on my shoulder, having had the guitar on my shoulder for a while, it's not the tickliest feeling, let's put it that way. But that's life, right? And we live through it and we struggle through it. And if we're honest about it and we let ourselves go, ow, when it hurts, if we let ourselves do that, it's not a sign of weakness. It's just ow. And yeah, you know what? Maybe, don't step on my toe because I just stubbed it. I don't know. I'd like to see some courtesy and respect weave back into greater society, a little more courtesy, consideration for other people, and modesty, not a bad idea either. with that, I'm not going to spoil performance at the end. That song, Good Intentions, has been a work in progress for a number of years. The bridge was always sort of thought of, but became a little more defined last summer and is probably going to end up with some words. If I ever get around to doing some real recording, I do intend to start messing around with my flute and hopefully maybe someday again keys. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows what's there? Which brings me to my show, June 6th to 15th at 978 Queen Street West in Toronto, Ontario. I have an art exhibition. I do a lot of different things. I like to provoke thought and evoke emotion and stimulate conversation, seeking understanding and a middle ground. The show is called States of Unknown. The concept came to me at the end of last year. The unknown Triskel here is something that came out of me at the end of November 2021. I had spent the summer doing Triskelions or Triskels. You look it up. It's an ancient symbol representing various trinities depending on what it's applied to. Anyway, for me, this particular trinity became 3 question marks, and I called it the unknown Triskel. And I have a whole, I should have had one of my flyers handy for the show. So, States of Unknown. This will be on display and is for sale. States of Unknown. We have the answers to 3 of the questions. When is now? Who is you? And why is the rub? So the rub being like, that's the catch, right? What is your why? That's what you get to decide. And then things we've got to figure out are where, what, and how. So where we're applying what we need to apply, what it is we need to do, and how to go about implementing it. And these are the states of unknown that we really need to all together be exploring right now. Because we can't ignore it anymore. We've been ignoring it for way too long, that we are on the brink. And that's what happens when you sweep things under the carpet. That's what happens when you sweep things under the carpet. You end up with a big, disgusting mess that somebody's got to clean up someday. Whether it's the next tenant tearing up the carpet, or whether it's you actually taking some responsibility for what's there. We each individually have to start doing that more. Have to start thinking about things that aren't within our immediate sphere. All of those things that for the past 30 years, everybody said, I can't think about those things, or that's just extreme, or whatever. Well, the extreme is here, and it's raining down on your head, and mine, and all of ours. And so it's going to take some extreme stuff. It's going to take getting comfortable with some discomfort. We can get a steam from that, you know. And with that, I say thank you very much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.